Food. It's what all organisms need to survive. Yet for many people in cities across the nation, access to healthy vegetables and fruits is sketchy at best and non-existent for many. It's why the Carolina Farm Trust is making the case for urban farmlands.
So how do we build urban farms so people can understand why this land is so important? Why is food and nutrition so important? How do we really look at workforce development and farm apprenticeship to get career tracks back into agriculture?
It's what prompted the Carolina Farm Trust to begin a partnership with the Aldersgate Retirement Community in East Charlotte back in 2017 on some property that had formerly housed tennis courts and buildings. Its first hurdle? Residents needed access to the garden site.
Walkway came about as my father-in-law passed. So that is what's going to give access to Aldersgate. It's actually the bridge that connects the campus to the farm.
I've been following the Carolina Farm Trust for many, many years. And so we moved in here in 2019. And for me, this was one of the perks. I can walk through the woods and get here.
For this healthcare professional, her biggest concern, sick patients who could not get the foods they needed.
When you're telling someone that doesn't have the resources to eat fresh, eat healthy, the feedback is pretty consistent, which is like, I can't afford it,
For the dietitian who cares for the health of some Aldersgate residents and other patients in the Windsor Park community, the garden is a game changer.
It's tough. A lot of them are wheelchair bound, walker, and a lot of transportation is a big problem. So it's more of the ability for me to come here, bring the produce to them, to our clinic.
The goal and dream of this place is that all walks of life can come here. That this is a safe space for anyone to find food, but they can find healing, they can find community, they can find just nourishment and enrichment, they can find care.
For more than a year, Mariah Henry has led interns and volunteers in this revitalization effort. This college graduate focused on culinary arts and farm production, and she points out it's going to take a shift in how people perceive the necessity of working farms in today's fast-paced culture.
Where is everybody? And more so, folks that do look like me, and not just from color, but to age and to gender. I can count on one hand just how many female farmers that I had met when I first started getting into just wanting to know more about agriculture. It was few far in between.
Now, residents come to find out what's happening in the garden space and learning how they can fit in.
Since moving to Aldersgate, I've started doing some work over in the greenhouse on campus and the community garden that we have on campus, and got interested in growing fruits, mostly vegetables, right?
So it was interesting to me to see this thing was almost impossible, I thought. And so I've watched it over the last few years as it's changed. And now we have all this going on, and it's pretty impressive, really.
And there is an ultimate goal for the entire community.
Intergenerational programming is this key. How do we get kids and adults and our seniors all together at one time to do something that's fun?
The Carolina Farm Trust has already begun its partnership with Windsor Park Elementary, with students planting seeds in small bed gardens on campus. For the Aldersgate residents, they are all in.
Kind of helps me and help others see the productivity that happens, where they can be involved. I've got 3 residents now that are saying, when can I go down? I want to help.
What I've noticed is, particularly at Aldersgate, is that we have a thriving community of gardeners, growers, people that have done this, people grew up on farms and things.
When we come here, we're part of our community, but we are also part of the East Charlotte community. And so we feel a responsibility to be a greater part of that community.
And for the woman who wears the hat of head gardener, the mission is clear.
And I think they will find that just beyond the crops that we grow, but that we can really knock down these walls of what does it mean to have local access to food in your community.
So just as spring brings out the best in nature, so it does for an East Side Garden of Eden, designed to not only nourish the people, but to bring them together. For Carolina Impact, I'm B. Thompson.
Thanks for watching, and if you don't want to miss any more great regional stories, please subscribe to our PBS Charlotte YouTube channel.